If they want new wave, we'll deliver the whole wave. Nouvelle Vague, aka New Wave, is a Netflix original from filmmaker Richard Linklater and writers Holly Gaunt and Vincent Pommel Jr., and this is a pseudo behind-the-scenes look of what went into the making of Breathless, Jean-Luc Godard's landscape-changing film that helped reshape how the French did their films for years and years afterwards. It really was a revolutionary film, at least according to this. I've actually never seen the film. I've heard of it. I've maybe seen a couple scenes from it, but I've never seen it in full. So I went into this movie totally blind, except for the fact that it has been receiving a lot of acclaim across the film festival circuit and has been really ramping up the attention as we get to awards season. I can definitely see this cleaning up during awards season. As far as stylistically, it is very well filmed. The black and white aesthetic, the cast, it really does look like it transports you right back into late 50s, early 60s France. And we do have a Guillaume Marbeck. I'm pretty certain I am totally ruining these names. I do apologize. Mr. Marbeck plays Jean-Luc Godard, who is a determined filmmaker, starts out as a critic. The best way to criticize a film is to make one. And he wants to make a film that he feels honors his vision and just, can start a new wave of filmmaking. The French have always had interesting ways of making movies. Eyes Without a Face, to name one. That's one that came out actually around this time and is one of the most revolutionary horror movies, if not one of the most revolutionary movies of its time, and still something that you can sink your teeth into this day. And he wants to make the film Breathless. He wants to get a star, Jean Seberg, who's played by Zoe Deutsch, who is recently an anniversary and also is in The Threesome and is a very good actress. But he can't do it alone. He gets Aubrey Dolan's Jean-Paul Belmondo. And if I screw up some of these names, I do apologize because, as you can tell, I'm not French. I'm not really particularly good at foreign names, at least foreign to me. I do want to say I did appreciate the fact that there were a couple of very, very beautiful French women in this. Jodie Ruth Forrest, who, good God, she plays Suzanne, who, man, she is so fucking pretty. There's one called, and I'm just going to look over here, Leah Lou Busato. There is a scene with her just with the hair and just the elegant look that she has, literally transporting her back to the late 50s, early 60s, where, my God, she is breathtaking. So as somebody that doesn't really know anything about the film on a couple scenes and knowing that it is revered, I was interested to see how this went. And while I don't think it grabbed me like Blue Moon did, that was, of course, bit fictionalized of Ethan Hawke's character in the aftermath of the opening of Oklahoma. Blue Moon was really, really good. This is really well filmed and has some great moments. But even from reviews that I checked out on Letterboxd, those that have seen Breathless say that some say it really honors it. Others say it's it's kind of surface level. I was grabbed enough by it, especially stylistically, to see how Jean-Luc would make films. And while, again, not perfect, definitely is going to clean up around award season. Very well filmed, pretty well acted, and it's also a breezy hour and 40-something minutes, so it doesn't overstay its welcome. I'm going to get into spoilers on Netflix. 3, 2, 1. Spoilers. There we go. So, something about 1950s, 1960s France just looks really, really elegant, even with the numerous amounts of cigarettes being smoked. I am amazed, quite frankly, that that Paris and actually cities in France in general didn't turn to giant ashtrays with how much they smoke. Not that we don't smoke a lot here, but good grief. Again, Jodie is Suzanne. My God, she's so fucking pretty. Good grief. So, anyway, sorry. Netflix acquired this for $4 million, apparently. And there are various other directors and people that are going to help them or help inspire them. Others that have done great work. Jean-Luc is going to have money, but he's not going to have a big amount of money. He's got to shoot this in about 20 days. And unfortunately, because he wants to do it in his own way, sometimes they shoot for a couple hours. Sometimes they don't shoot at all, and they have a tight time window. And also, Miss Seberg is not necessarily on board with this, but she is a revered actress. Apparently did die at the age of 40. And Jean-Luc's work continues to live on to this day. There is a guy, Raul, that used to, that picked up photography in the war and actually is used to shooting stuff almost guerrilla style and everything. And I like that character. I thought he was really good. This is a good look about what it takes to make a movie. While I'm sure there were more pitfalls, it's at least nice to see the interpretation that people have of particular material. Humphrey Bogart at one point is shown. What a fucking talent he was. And Jean-Luc has ideas such as, Cars, not the band, but, Cars, locations, and various things they want to do. There's a character named Melville, who's a director. Very, very old guy. Looks like he was around during the First Revolutionary War. And we get bits of English. I mean, very limited amounts of English. Whatever, it is what it is. But I did like how they introduced Raul's character. I thought that was really nice. I liked the way they showed how they were going to shoot extras without their knowledge. They were going to put him in a box and be like a postal box. But he was going to hide in it. He's a pretty tall lad, so I'm amazed he can fit in that thing. But he's basically told, just don't fuck it up. Belmondo, rather. At one point is seen as, boxing and everything, or Rocky Marciano, that kind of stuff. He, seen as that kind of style, which was the style at the time. And we just, we go to day one. We see how things are going. Pierre, who's kind of the overseer of this thing, even though it's a character named Bobo. Bo as in B-A-E-W, or B-E-A-W rather. That'd be a weird spelling of Bo. Says, let's prove that genius isn't a gift, but, basically something that reminds us that, well, we can accomplish things even in desperate cases. I mean, it's a bad interpretation of a line, but basically Pierre is just saying, hey, we can do this. We're going to be able to figure it out. And disappointments are temporary. Film is forever. And that's actually a very nice way of looking at it, because a lot of passion can go into making a film, but then, sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. This is good, not great. It has great moments in it, but again, as somebody that has not seen Breathless, and I put that out there again, I'm just going with what I see. But again, Leah Luce Busado, I saw her in that, Jesus Christ on a cracker. I mean, that is a woman you go to war for. But Duke Ellington once said, I don't need time, I need a deadline. And actually, there's some good quotes in this, because Jean-Luc is very learned. He's also very determined. He's not a full-on dick, but Marbeck plays off of it well, that he's not necessarily... He's willing to listen, but he has his own stuff in mind. And seeing films should not deliver us from the terror of making them, and yeah, that's true. And it would be very difficult to do that. And they're going through various days of shooting. Jean-Luc even at one point cancels a day of shooting. We go to days 15 and 16. This is right after he gets in a fight with the guy that's financing the thing, gets in a bit of a weird fight, trips him, and then they get in a weird fight. It's kind of strange. And basically, the idea from the stars is to include Jean-Luc in the film. He gets included for a little bit, but just kind of a way to kind of almost Hitchcock-like, include him in his own film. And then the final shot is of Jane Seberg's character, who is talking to Belmondo. It's like, what is disgusting, and doing like a line around her, around her lips. It factors into the last scene, which I again probably may need to check out Breathless at some point to get a little more meat to the story. But then they do the opening first, or they do the opening last, rather, where they show Belmondo running through. And then he's like, I'm going to run to Rome because I know Paris is that way. And they're just having fun. And Leonardo da Vinci once said, art is never finished, only abandoned. And they got to cut the film down basically to 90 minutes to have that going on. And essentially, we get, we get Jean-Luc's idea of editing, making it where it might seem choppy to some, but if you're into what he does, it could actually work pretty good. And then we basically see a montage of like the various characters, and we find out about, what happened to them, how Jean-Luc's work is still revered to this day. And Jean dying, at age 40. Others going on to do some great films. And is it inspiring? Yes. I mean, is it possibly surface level? Maybe. Did I end up enjoying Nouvelle Vague? Yeah. I just didn't think it was necessarily great. I'm still going to give it a B+ for the positives. It's not on my best films of the year list, but I see why a lot of people really ended up enjoying it. So I appreciate it for what it was. So yeah, B+. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Retlin. Until we revisit the French Revolutionary New Wave film wave again. That was repetitive as fuck. Happy trails to you.